Hey, shalom, shalom, shalom. I want to first start out by giving infinite praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashim, Yahushua, Ba'ashim, Kakwadash. Double honors to my apostles and elders, a great millstone that rule well, and peace and salutations to the elect men pushing out this word in truth and sincerity. This is Brother Yakanan from the DC Church, and the topic I wanted to touch on today, and Lord's will, this video is entitled, "The Earth is Defiled," right? And, I just been thinking about, the stuff that we had to put into our bodies. And recently I just came down with like a recent like cold or sickness or something like that. And just put me in the mindset of knowing that, of course we're in the flesh. So, of course we're in the flesh. So we know that that the present bodies that we're in, you know, over time deteriorates. But over the course, over that course of time, you know, what plays a big and major player in that is the stuff that we put in our bodies, right? It's like one of those. It's a silent killer. The things that we put into our bodies. Of course, you don't feel the effects of it like immediately, but the shit basically adds up. The stuff that you put into your body over a long period of time is going to add up, and it could make, and it can make, you know, it can make you less sharp. It can make you more lethargic. It could basically break you down from the inside out. And a big part of that is and the reason that is because the earth is defiled. The earth is defiled. And the reason why it's defiled is because we have the wicked. The wicked is in rulership. He's basically defiled the whole earth. He's made a whole bunch of concoctions, these GMOs, when you have Monsanto's, you have these GMOs, you have these chemicals that they put into your vegetables, you have these hormones that they put into your meat. There's a whole manner of ways that they defile your bread and wine, so to speak. I just wanted to touch on that. So this is Isaiah chapter 24, verse 3. And it says, "The land shall be utterly emptied and utterly spoiled, for the Lord hath spoken this word. The earth mourneth and fadeth away. The world languisheth and fadeth away. The haughty people of the earth languish. The earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, and broken the everlasting covenant." So that the earth is defiled under the inhabitants thereof. It's the earth itself isn't the problem. Actually, this earth was made perfect. When this earth and this when this earth was created, everything was made perfect. Everything was made to be of abundance. Once you take one blade out, two will grow. The earth is abundant. So it says, "The earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, and broken the everlasting covenant." And that's the reason why the earth is defiled. It's because the laws have been transgressed. So something as simple as the land Sabbath have been transgressed, right? So you're supposed to let the land rest after after the 7th year, I believe, or after the 6th year, I believe. You're supposed to give the land is supposed to have a rest day. But Edom, so-called white man, he went against that, and not only that, the laws that he has set in place for you to fall off, for you to transgress the laws. Everybody on earth is transgressing the laws under him, because everybody has drunk of his wine, his philosophies, his way of living. So the earth is defiled under the inhabitants thereof. The meat that you're eating is not pure. The fruit and vegetables that you're eating are not pure. Everything that you put into your body is not pure, because the laws are transgressed by all the inhabitants of the earth. And they changed the ordinances. They changed the order of things. They made it a point to to fight against nature as opposed to working with it. You know, like something as simple as having asphalt over all the Americas. You know, placing this concrete and this asphalt for these cars to run through, and deforestation. You know, that's a big. It may not seem like a big deal because of the convenience that comes with it, and that's how Esau gets you. You know, they like to sell something as good for you under the guise or under the umbrella of convenience. You know, but in all honesty, deforestation is one of the biggest players for why people are unhealthy, why the earth is polluted. You know, why the air is polluted, why you have air pollution. It's because of deforestation. Now, I'm going to move on to Leviticus chapter 25, verse 1. It says, "And the Lord spake unto Moses in Mount Sinai, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When ye have come into the land which I give you, then shall the land keep the Sabbath unto the Lord. 6 years thou shalt sow thy field, and 6 years shalt thou thou shalt prune thy vineyard, and gather in the fruit thereof. But in the 7th year shall the Sabbath of the rest unto the land, a Sabbath for the Lord. Thou shalt neither sow thy field nor prune thy vineyard." Right? So you also have a land Sabbath. So you after once the 7th year hits, you're not supposed to gather no plant. You know, you're supposed to let the land rest, because the Lord does say it. The Lord does said it. You know, and that's one of the reasons why you have a lot of failed crops, and nowadays they have to put the pesticides and all that shit up in all up on the crops and everything like that. And that's the reason why even if your fruit and vegetables are so-called organic, it doesn't have all the nutrients that it needs, because the earth hasn't been given time to rest, and it's because of greed. Ultimately, all of this is happening because of greed. You know, convenience and greed. That's the reason why a lot of these things are set up the way that they are, for profit and for convenience. You know, but it's not supposed to be like that. The Lord said it, and the Lord said you should give the land a rest for a reason. You know, it's best because if you're able to give the land a rest, you know, after that year is passed, and you do plant, and you do sow and gather, the fruit that you're gonna get is gonna be of a much higher quality. You know, and I'll even go as far as to say this. You know, we haven't really tasted good natural food before. You know, and that's the reason why, we're so susceptible to get all these sicknesses, and why we're not as sharp as we used to be, and why our bodies are deteriorating at a high rate. You know, and it even gets worse. The further and further you go past the generations, the new generation, Gen Z, and stuff like that, it even gets worse for them. They're all pumped up with hormones and a whole bunch of bullshit. You know. Now, it says, verse 25. It says, "That which groweth of its own accord of thy harvest, thou shalt not reap, neither gather the grapes of the vine undressed, for it is the year of rest unto the land." So even if it grows of itself, even if you had nothing to do with it, even if you just stumble upon it, just let it be. Because the land is supposed to rest, right? It says, and the Sabbath of the land shall be meat for you, for thee, and for thy servant, and for thy maid, and for thy hired servant, and for thy stranger that sojourneth with thee. Right? This is Ezekiel chapter 4, verse 13. It says, "And the Lord said, Even thus shall the children of Israel eat their defiled bread among the Gentiles, whither I will drive them." And that's exactly the time. That's exactly the situation that we're in right now. We're eating defiled bread amongst the Gentiles, and the natural born Gentiles, the heathen, so to speak. We're eating our defiled bread amongst them because this bread, water, and wine that we're drinking is all defiled. It's not, nothing about it is pure, because none of the ordinances nor the laws are being followed in the lands that they're being grown and gathered in. You know, so we're eating defiled bread, and that plays a part into our bodies. And that's why the scriptures talks about uh, that's why the scripture talks about bodily exercise profited little, but it doesn't say it doesn't profit at all. You're supposed to guard your health. You know, you're supposed to pay attention to your health and do do to the best of your ability. Make it a point to be health conscious, be health cautious, so you can function at the best that you could possibly can. And that's not to say that you're going to get pure bread, water, and wine, like all the way pure, but you know it won't have as a big effect as it would otherwise if you weren't as conscious about your health. you know Now, continuing on, this is Proverbs chapter 29, verse 2. It says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. And the people are mourning right now. The people are having these diseases that at a high rate that they've never had before. Their bodies are deteriorating at a higher rate. Kids are being born with these diseases like autism, and these other rare diseases that never really had a place, in times before. But now it's at an all-time high, and it even goes even further when you have these vaccines that that they have these people basically being guinea pigs for, you know. Because it takes an extended period of time and a big sample size for them to determine if something is safe or not. And for a lot of these vaccines, a lot of these different things that Esau has put out, the sample size is not big enough, or either the sample size is not big enough, or not a long time is not a good amount of time has passed by to see if things are safe safe in the long term. So you basically have the modern day American being a guinea pig for the elites. And we already know what their agenda is. They want the population to be cut down to about 500 million, or 500 million. That's their goal. Their goal is depopulation. And a big way that they go through that is is through putting bullshit into our food, because we have to put this into our bodies every single day. Why is a tech billionaire want to have the biggest stake in farmland in America, and purposely said that he wants to depopulate the earth? What do you think his agenda is? What do you think he's doing with the food in those farms? Nothing good. Nothing good. This is Genesis chapter 1, verse 29, and it says, and the Lord said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of the earth, and every tree in which the fruit of a tree yielding seed to you shall be for meat, and to every beast of the earth, and to every fowl of the air, and to everything that creepeth upon the earth, wherein is life, I have given every herb for meat. And it was so. And the Lord's and the Lord Yahweh saw everything, and that he made, and behold, it was very good. And even and the evening and the morning were the sixth day. So every herb, every seed that was given upon the face of the earth was given to us. And it's for us. It was for us to have. It was for us to have it in its pure nature. We are given all these things, but we're given all these things in a pure nature. We're going all the way back to the Garden of Eden. We are given uh, every beast of the earth, the fowl of the air, everything that creepeth upon the earth, wherein there's life. I have given every herb for meat, and it was so, right? So every herb was given unto us, and everything that would bud from the earth, which would be like the vegetables, the vegetables, and the things in that nature, was given unto us to eat. Was given unto us to have in its purest form. We are given dominion over these things, but these things nowadays, they're slowly killing us, you know and the earth is defiled because the inhabitants thereof. And it really starts off with the people that are ruling in this time period, which is Esau, Edom. The Esau, Edom, their rule is causing people to mourn. But when the righteous are in authority, when we can establish the law in its to its fullest extent, we can establish the land Sabbath, when you can actually get organic foods, when the earth is renewed, in righteousness. The people are going to rejoice because we're gonna get real food, real beverages, real fruit, you know, real meat, you know. All these things we're gonna get in this purest form, and the people are gonna rejoice because these things aren't going to be silent killers. And on top of that, food is supposed to give you energy. You're actually going to feel the life being breathed into you and the energy being given into you once you get the pure meat, once you get the pure bread and wine. It's not going to be a situation to where you eat and you're going to be hungry 2 hours later because you've gotten literally zero nutrients from your food. And the Lord is going to be the one to establish who's going to be the ones to be set up to establish that righteous rule, And I'm going to end it off on here. This is Psalm chapter 75, verse 6. It says, "For promotion cometh neither from the east, nor from the west, nor from the south. But God is the judge. He putteth down one and set up another." So it's all in due time. How about Shem Yahushua is going to set up one people over another, one judge over another, and that promotion always comes from him. Esau's rule, and the timeline that he has, is because the Lord allowed it. The Lord promoted him to be the wicked in rulership right now, But it's for a moment, When he sets us up, it's going to be for eternity. It says, "But God set up one judge, and he put up down one, and he set up another. For in the hand of the Lord there is a cup, the wine is red, and is full of mixture. He poureth out the same, but the dregs thereof, all the wicked of the earth shall wring them out and drink them. But I will declare forever. I will sing praises unto the God of Jacob. All the horns of the wicked also will be cut off, but the horns of the righteous shall be exalted." So he's going to the Lord is going to be the one to set Esau down and promote us. And the promotion that we're going to get is an eternal promotion because it's going to be done, because that promotion is going to be done in righteousness. And the way that we're going to be able to maintain that promotion is by establishing righteousness. It's by living by righteousness. We're going to have the new bodies to be able to do it. We're going to have pure bodies that can't be defiled. And with that, I want to say, call Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahushai Bashim Kakwadash. Double honors to my apostles to notice a great millstone that rule well, and peace and citations to the elect men pushing out this word in truth and sincerity. Until next time, I want to say Shalom.